Congratulations indeed to the Free State Province and for the sterling work that they've done in the matric pass rate for 2016. And joining us live is a Free State Premier, Ace Magashule. Thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations indeed. I suppose one would ask, what do you attribute this success to?
Well, Cindy, thanks. I think it is because of the way we are working in the province. We're working as a collective. We're working with all stakeholders, parents, communities are behind us. Our mayors at local level on the ground, they do interact with students, with teachers, with schools. We do our best. Our MEC is passionate, and all the time we do discuss education as priority number one, as the Executive Council of the province.
Having said that, there had been issues around procurement, it just wasn't when it comes to supplies, the infrastructure around the education system, the fact that there are still schools that are, or teaching that is conducted under trees. So in terms of the Free State, when it comes to your infrastructure for schooling, are you satisfied with the levels of achievement so far?
Well, we are very happy because we come from the apartheid legacy. And people will want to say, don't blame apartheid all the time. And that legacy is going to stay with us for many years to come. You're not going to eradicate all those challenges within a few years. But in our province, we are happy that we have dealt with mud schools, we have dealt with cartooning schools. You remember as we came in, children will go to school in the morning, others will come late in the afternoon. Platooning system, we don't have that. We do have farm kids, they are also having boarding schools, and we are about to eradicate this learner transport from farms, moving from farms kilometers. But we are very happy because we have the necessary infrastructure. And we do have committed educators, committed parents, and committed MECs and public representatives.
What is your view of the public, or the lexicon rather, of undergrading the quality of public schools, primarily in peri-urban or rural areas and townships, that produces graduates or matriculants without the necessary capability to fit into the working space?
Well, always I hear people talking about the quality of education in South Africa. If you compare the quality of education today and you look back at where we come from, during our time, we were not allowed to study mathematics. In fact, I'm one of those people who studied maths in Afrikaans. And I was once a teacher, I taught geography without understanding it. And if you look at the students today and what they are doing at primary level is what we have done even at tertiary level during our times and days. And I'm surprised because the students we have even taken outside the country, be it Russia, be it Cuba, be it China, they have gone to well-known universities, Polytech University in China, and we have one student studying airspace the second year, and they are doing well. The students who have gone to various South African universities from our province have done well. We can give you numbers and show that some of them are doctors today, some of them are lawyers today, some of them are dentists today. I don't understand why we are so critical about ourselves as South Africans, and we forget that we only a new democracy. We will be there where we want to be.
Mr. Premier,
we are striving towards that.
Mr. Premier, let's talk about the events of today. Orlando Stadium filled to capacity, even overflowing. Would you say that today was indicative of the unwaning support of the ANC and President Jacob Zuma, even with regards to a very turbulent 2016?
Well, 2016, I think, was not a bad year. I think the ANC itself, ourselves as leaders, we are supposed to make sure that 2017 becomes a very successful year because this is the year of unity. You know, when we honor Oliver Tambo, As the president said, we are the movement of the people of South Africa. And the unity of the movement must start with us, as the ANC first and foremost, and then spread it across our alliance partners. And I hope this year will be a wonderful year, because we shall have to reflect and look at the challenges facing us as the movement. And one will admit, and the president has admitted on behalf of the African National Congress, that where we have committed mistakes, we need to move forward. We can't be fighting forever, and we don't know what we are fighting for.
But it needs to be beyond the rhetoric, in terms of the factionalism or divisions within the party. If these are not dealt with, then the legacy projects and the radical economic transformation and black inclusion in the economy is something that is going to be deferred if the party does not unite behind this vision.
Well, the party must unite. The alliance must unite. We should not, President said, and all of us, we agree, because that statement is an NEC statement. It's a collective statement, unity in action. We can't just talk, and we must walk the talk. When we talk unity, it must not be artificial, because we must follow the footsteps of the likes of Oliver Tambo and many leaders. And I can tell you, Comrade Jacob Zuma, you can criticize him, but he's one of those tried and tested leaders of the African National Congress. And I think he still enjoys 100% support from the membership of the ANC. We should not be made to worry about the lot of noise of the opposition, and we join them. We must analyze, criticize ourselves, move in unity as leaders of the African National First and the Alliance, and I think that's what we are going to do.
All right, but I mean, the ANC itself being a broad church that encompasses different alliance partners with differing views, which is democratically allowed within the movement, when do you think this kind of unity you espouse or you envision will be realized?
It will be realized. It depends on us, how hard we work. And I'm definitely sure that as we talk, as we discuss, of course, we have different views. We are a broad church. We have Christians, we have communists, we have different type of people within the African National Congress. And we need to move forward to build a society. And I think that society can only be built by us. 105 years still there. It's a great achievement. Remember, even when the ANC was born, throughout the years, there have been challenges. These challenges are making us stronger every day.
But your view in terms of the opposition, I heard you say that we shouldn't entertain the grandstanding and the noises on the periphery around the ANC, but it is also something that dominates the imagination, be it of the press or rather the discussions on social media, etc. So that if it's not addressed, it perpetuates the narrative that the ANC is losing support, it's dwindling in certain key strongholds and that you are hemorrhaging members to the opposition, the EFF in particular.
No, we are not doing that. You must remember that there is free movement and the ANC at times is infiltrated. We shouldn't operate like we don't know what is happening today. We can't be this giant revolutionary movement and we think that there are no people within the movement, the ANC, that have their own agenda, or the people who are trying to criticize us will definitely have their own agenda. I'm not talking about those members within internal structures of the ANC, because that's where debates actually happens. And we'll continue debating and where we differ, because ideologically, I don't think we differ. We move together, and we must allow discussions and debates, and we must discuss.
So 2017, the year for unity working, or unity in action, as you're saying, but there's still issues that needs to be dealt with. There is the consultative conference that the stalwarts and veterans have called for. We've seen open letters being written by high-ranking ANC members being critical of the Jacob Zuma administration. We also saw the absence of former President Thabo Mbeki there. Do you read anything out of that?
No, I don't read anything. I have worked under President Nelson Mandela. I've worked under President Thabo Mbeki. I'm now working under President Jacob Zuma. These are tried and tested leaders of the African National Congress. I don't have anything to worry about if somebody doesn't actually attend a rally of the African National Congress. At times, people have their own events, activities, apologies. So you can't read into all this and say, no, people are angry, they don't want the ANC. I think we must continuously engage. And the ANC is in good hands. The National Executive Committee of the African National Congress, I think, will give direction this year. And I hope all of us will forget about our own individual interest and focus and be selfless in making sure that we serve the people of this country and the ANC in particular.
How would the party bounce back from the 2016 local government elections?
We will bounce back. We must just change our electoral system. The winner must take all. We do allow multi-party democracy. We do allow smaller parties to participate. It was during that time of the sunset clauses. This is the time for us to be radical in terms of transformation. If we are not going to be radical, I can tell you we'll go 20 steps backward. I think this is the time for us to unite and be radical about socio-economic issues. Otherwise, the economy will remain in the hands of the few. And South Africa will never change. And you'll have another revolution.
If you'll take us into your confidence as an NEC member and a Premier of Free State, and as you were saying that the party, the mandate that the party has taken is a collective. Perhaps you can give us a little bit more detail, if you like, or meat to the story as to how this radicalism is going to unfold.
Well, it will unfold because the President has talked about the issue of the land. The land issue has been a big issue. Historically, politically, and it is one issue which we must still address. But the President said on behalf of the National Executive Committee, because we ourselves drafted that statement, that whatever we do, we should remember that we actually produced a document called the Constitution. Whatever we do, we must actually make sure that we do what is in the Constitution. If we want to change legislation, if we want to change the Constitution, we must sit down and interact with such issues. But we must be radical in terms of approach. Our people are fighting and are crying for title deeds, ownership. I think is one of the important issues. And black economic participation, radical economic transformation. It has to happen. It can only happen if black business people and our communities and ourselves as public representatives unite, first and foremost, as the governing party in South Africa. Once you are united at all spheres, there will be this radical economic transformation. And the Communist Party General Secretary also talked about this big challenge that if we are not going to radically change the patterns of our economy in South Africa today, so the language is the same. So we must come together, COSATU, SACP, SANCO, ANC, and other stakeholders, the mass democratic movement and partners, all those who have been participating during the years of struggle. Yeah. This is the time to rise up. I think we are agitated, we are inspired by January 8th statement, and we are agitated and activated to go and do our work as activists.
All right, but you still would have to dismantle or dislodge the institutionalized instruments that keep the black majority from enjoying the prosperity and the wealth of this country. How is the party going to do that?
It's a tough one, but I think this is where we have to be radical. We must take unpopular decisions which will hurt other people. But if you run a country and if you run and you want to make things happen, let's just take decisions of the African National Congress. Once we are convinced and we have consulted thoroughly and our masses are on board, particularly the oppressed, those who are disadvantaged, we must just move on. We shouldn't worry too much about the lot of noise, but we must be reasonable at all times.
Okay, so can we now say that the slate is clean, if you will, because we, again, with the criticism of Zuma, particularly post the local government elections, that the alliance, that your core outlook is going to be around uniting the alliance, ensuring that the mandate is fulfilled, that which the President highlighted today?
Well, President Jacob Zuma has played a very important role to unite the alliance. And I think he continues to do so. I wonder, and I know that the leadership, no one is indispensable, but President Jacob Zuma has played his role in uniting the alliance. He is the man who has kept this alliance intact. And I think we need to support him and do our best ourselves to ensure that this alliance is really intact. And I'm sure we'll do so.
All right, we can't avoid the discussion around the succession debate and the elective conference that is happening in December, and the names that have already been, thrown into the hat, if you will, the likes of Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma as the future president of the ANC, and the Women's League standing behind her that says, it's time for a woman to be elevated to that particular post. Do you yourself see a position in the NEC or top six come the elective conference? Do you have those aspirations?
Well, I've been with the ANC. I'm never ambitious. I just want to ensure that the ANC has tried and tested leaders. After all these challenges from 2007, moving forward into the future, I think what we only need to do is to elect the best leaders to continue defending this revolution. Because what the president has said and what we have said as the National Executive Committee is to say we must discuss thoroughly the principles, through the eye of the needle. Because if you sit down, analyze the challenges facing the ANC, and you decide what type of leadership you need, you are able to then, after that analysis, engage with other stakeholders and discuss, because you can't present your one view, individual view, and you think you are right. We need to discuss, and we must go back to basics. That's what we used to do in the past. But we can't prevent anybody, any structure, to express their views. But I think disciplined cadres will always, when the organization says, this is not yet the time to discuss, I don't think you'll go out publicly and want to discuss, because it is not the public which is going to influence.
So that discussion around you possibly taking an NEC position has not taken place yet, but yet you're saying the caliber of leadership that is required is something that you could fit into as a leader of the ANC.
Even I was elected in 2007 to be a member of the National Executive Committee, and I was a member of the National Executive Committee. By virtue of being chairperson, I'm in the National Executive Committee. So why will I want a particular position? Because I'm still a member of the National Executive Committee. I think it is very important for us to ensure that, during the years of struggle, we used to say our leaders are in exile, our leaders are in jail. But when they came out from exile, when they came back from exile, came out from prison, we wanted to dominate that space. We wanted to be leaders. We have then suddenly forgotten that we said our leaders are those tried and tested, who have been grilled, nurtured in the politics of the African National Congress. The politics of today, the problem with the politics of today is not about those who have been nurtured in the ANC, those who understand the culture and traditions of the movement. And we are starting to lose that. And once we have leaders who don't understand this history, I think we are going to face a big problem. So we will engage. I don't think it's the end of the world. We will engage, and provinces, we will actually come out publicly. We will, at the right time, when the NEC says start engaging, we will. We are not cowards. We're not just afraid to talk in the media there. But why should we do it when I am part of the National Executive Committee and we take a decision that wait, let's work hard. So we must discuss principles, we must discuss policies, we must discuss through the eye of the needle what type of leadership do we want for the challenges facing the movement. And I'm sure all of us, COSATU, SACP, on this one, I think I can talk on behalf of everybody because I think we have the interest of the movement at heart.
Yeah, it's a perennial problem, though. We know with the succession debates coming up that even the president highlighted the fact that people strategically position themselves based, which will influence their vote or nomination for the next leader based on their own personal interests, that if it's not managed, it can continue to erode at the very fiber of the organization.
Well, that is true. I have a problem with a leader who says, I must be there. It must be the branches of the ANC because the branch is the basic unit. It must be the branches of the ANC nominating a particular person. And I think we have eroded that culture of allowing debates and discussions within our structures. And I agree that it must start at that point. But politics of today are not politics of yesterday. But despite that, we understand the character of the African National Congress. We must actually engage and debate, but remain disciplined and loyal members of the African National Congress. We must never be influenced by money. But nowadays, people who are also talking, I can talk so nice because everybody's watching and listening to me, but my actions say something else. I think we can, if 2017, all of us can come out openly and be honest, we will be regarded as credible leaders. And
credibility is and an integrity, and as you were saying, through the eye of the needle, the caliber and the pragmatic leadership that is required, that of servitude, that OR Tambo and other astute leaders had lived by, especially to know that you are there as a servant of the people and not for your own gain, is something that, in your own words, is perhaps missing in the organization. So, nuances and discussions around preferred members of the ANC that get preferential treatment based on their closeness to President Jacob Zuma. There's been things around the Premier League. I'm hoping that you will clarify if there is such a thing called a Premier League and whether you're part of it.
President Jacob Zuma is the president of the African National Congress. There is I don't know who's close to President Jacob Zuma. All of us are supposed to be close to President Jacob Zuma as the leader of the party. I don't know who's close to President. I don't know whether I'm close to President Jacob Zuma. Jacob Zuma is my president. We elected him at conference, and I think it's the right thing to do. As I have said, I've served under President Nelson Mandela, President Thabo Mbeki, and I respected those presidents. I have at no time, even when the opposition attacked Nelson Mandela, because the opposition has at all times attacked leaders of the African National Congress, because they know if they attack the leader of the ANC, they can actually erode the ANC base. So they attacked President Thabo Mbeki. We defended Comrade Thabo Mbeki. There is nothing wrong defending President Jacob Zuma when he's under attack by the opposition. And we shouldn't join the opposition ourselves, because we are actually eroding our own base. We must sit down and internally discuss our challenges, our differences, because we have always discussed our challenges, differences within the four walls. That's how the African National Congress operates. I can make a lot of noise. I have not done that. I make noise in the National Executive Committee. It is the right platform. I make noise in the Provincial Executive Meeting, not in the media. The media cannot build me. The masses of our people are the ones who can build the ANC leadership.